Hey, everybody, and welcome to the BA Zones live show. No pre-show tonight. We were running just a tad bit late. So I want to welcome everybody. Hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and Giving Tuesday. So I'm just to start off track. I'm Marianne Morrison and Kathleen Sinnott. My cohort is behind the scenes and handling all our backstage technology, and she will be with us a little bit later in the show. So this month, we've been talking about training and training solutions. The top 5 signs your users or employees need training, the pros and cons of different training methods, and whether to use third party, create your own, etc. So tonight, we're going to wrap up our training solution series with some tools and tips that we have found to be helpful in the past. So during the show, tonight, just think about the worst training you've ever had to sit through, and how you would change it, today if you were the trainer. And we invite you to share that with us, and we'll pop them up during the break, and we'll tell you about some of our worst training experiences. But right now, let's get started on the tools and tips to help you create the best training. And if you know someone who might be interested in this topic, reach out, tag a few friends, coworkers, or that certain someone you want to get off of your couch. And we invite everyone to get off your couch right now for that 10-second dance party intro that DJ Kathleen is about to spin. Hit it, Kathleen. Okay, let's get started. Gotta love that dance party music. One of the most important things when we're talking about tools and tips is the content. The content is the most important thing. This is what you're going to be actually training someone. So the first thing you want to do as a tip is to list out all of the tasks and skills and knowledge that needs to be learned. What is the learning objective, basically? And make it a big old bulleted list at this point. Just try to get everything down. And you want to say to yourself as you're doing this, what is it that you want them to actually learn? What are the outcomes after they have this training that you want to see, right? So, and also as you're doing that, you also want to identify some of the potential obstacles that could occur and how they would be handled. And so, which you would later include probably in what you would call like a troubleshooting training module. That's always really helpful to have. So, for example, if you were training nurses in a hospital to triage someone as they were coming into the ER, there's certain things that you would do, right? And you would want to break those things down into modules. So, for example, you might want to take a patient's family history, the patient's medical history, their lifestyle. Do they smoke? Do they drink? Do they do recreational drugs? Which sort of sounds like a Saturday night at Uncle Charlie's house, but I digress. You also want to take the patient's current medications, their physical assessment, their height, their weight, the blood pressure, the temperature, and all that. And symptom assessment, behavioral assessment, all of these things. So if you think of all these as a bulleted list, this becomes your training modules potentially, right? So that's your high level list. So that's sort of an outline that you want to create. Next, you want to organize that content. So you want to take that bulleted list, put them into these sort of little bite-sized training modules. Make sure that the information that you're putting in there is going to flow logically. And also it's going to flow logically or smoothly between the modules as well. So this is sort of a lot of organization and planning that you're doing at this point. You also, how you would make it flow logically. And a lot of times this is sometimes, missing in a lot of training, is you want to put some context around the training. You don't want to just say, do this, do this, do this. You want to give a little outline as to, why we're looking at this and what we hope to achieve with it, type of thing. Give them a little context around the actual training that you're going to be doing. And then you want to take that information and you want to organize it into small blocks that get right to the point. And again, bulleted lists help here. They make you're breaking up big pieces of text and you're kind of making it memorable for people. So, bulleted lists are great within these little modules. And don't forget, if you're actually doing any type of printed materials, to add copyrights and things like that, so that someone else doesn't, sort of scam you, take that and run with it. But when you're grouping into information, the reason why we do these groups into this small little blocks of information, a lot of information all at once can tend to overwhelm people. And you don't want to do that. And also, if you're planning to take any of this content out onto different delivery methods, people work in mobile devices very different than they do in desktop. You got to be able to scroll a lot quicker and things like that. So breaking that information up into small bites of information works really well for multiple delivery systems. And you want to create sessions also that are sort of shorter or multiple, so that you don't jam all that information right away. So once you outline, you organize, the next thing you want to do is prioritize. So for each module, you want to identify the most important information that's needed to be taught first. Your key concepts. The non-key concepts you're going to probably have in a lot of supporting information. It could be in cheat sheets, it could be in your training manual, etc. But you want to highlight those really important things that you want people to learn and to remember. And those are the things you want to spotlight and go with first. Again, if we're talking about mobile users, you don't want to risk people, and actually even any kind of e-learning, you don't want to risk them bailing out early. There's a potential for that. They could just leave and bail out early. So you want to make sure that you get those big key concepts right out there, right up front. And again, for better retention, just if you can, create multiple sessions to go over this information instead of jamming it all in one thing. Once you've outlined all of the content, you've organized, you prioritized it, it's time to conceptualize it. And this is sort of where you're going to lay out your training design. It's sort of like a good novel. When you're engaging with people, you want to get their attention right away. You have that hook in the beginning of the novel, right? And then you want to keep their attention all the way through, because people learn, different ways. We've said this in the past, right? You want to mix it up. You want to identify where you will use throughout your modules. Now we're talking, you want to identify where you're going to be telling versus showing. So telling meaning instructor-led, or you as the BA may facilitate the training. So you want to note where someone is actually going to speak and what type of vehicle are they going to use to back up that speech. Are they going to have slides, etc.? So mixing up telling versus showing. So you're going to go through and say, okay, am I going to use slides here? Do I need screenshots here, graphics, or images that enhance the message that you're trying to teach? Am I going to use examples or case studies, hands-on exercises? Is this a good place to put that? And again, the hands-on will provide opportunities for people to really practice what you've been teaching them. And that is the most important part. That hands-on, hands down is the most important piece, I believe anyway, in training. You could even decide where you want to, insert some humor, right? Can we put humor here? Can we put this in a group discussion? Is this going to be role playing? Is this storytelling? Live demos, again, cheat sheets, I said before, troubleshooting tips. Is this a place for a guide, or do we put this piece of information in a training a manual? So you want to kind of go through that and design out your course. This is what you're going to do, right? So in doing that, it's going to actually provide you with a list of training materials that you're going to need. And it will also help you to define your training method and your tools. And Kathleen's going to get into those tools, but right now we'll just take a little break, and I'm going to, I'm going to tell you one of my worst training experiences. And let me just bring up my slide here. I'm told that I got the ghost hands. I know the ghost hands come up a lot, so we try to keep those down. As far as I've had many of these worst training experiences, actually, where you're sitting in a group of people, you're expecting something really interesting, and the trainer gets up there, and it's usually an in-house trainer. A lot of professionals wouldn't do this, but an in-house trainer, they get up there and they put a slide up, one slide after the other. They're bulleted points, and they stand in front of you and they read each bulletin point, I mean verbatim, word for word, until people sort of have that zony look. So that's one of the worst, other than actually working in retail, and they there was the meat packing back in the area, where they put all the meat. It's a big food store, and they put all the meat back there, and they were showing how not to handle the meat. And there were sort of chopped meatballs being thrown around and things like that, and put back into I'll never forget that, because that was really kind of disgusting. But that was a way not to handle meat. So, but it was kind of a worst experience, because I saw them put it back on a tray, and I thought, oh, geez, I don't know if that actually went back in the case or not. And I was hoping not. Haven't been able to eat chopped meat to this day. So that's one of my worst experiences. I don't know if Kathleen has handled all her technical issues. Kathleen, do you have any bad training experiences that you can recall? I'm sure you have a few.
Yeah, boy, your mic dropped really weird there for a second. I have so many, it's hard to pick a favorite. Definitely, the reading every word thing drives me crazy. Also, the thing that kind of gets on my nerves a little bit is when they're not able to read the room. And so, this class maybe was presented to those of us sitting there as an intermediate level or an advanced level, and everything that they're providing in the class is basic level. Now, I'm okay, you got to start with that. I totally get that. You've got a level set, you got to bring everybody to the same level. But after you've spent, 3, 6, 8 hours in a classroom and it's never gotten beyond that, that feels like a gigantic waste of time. And, if you don't pick up the clue when, people are trying to ask you more advanced questions and you keep going, yeah, but that's not what this is about. It's like, yeah, okay, well, then why are we here? So
the giant
that's happened to me a number of times, and not my favorite way to spend a day.
Yeah, you think. Yeah, we try to do that just a little bit better. And I don't know, let me see, just to make sure I'm getting everything in there. And just, Kathleen, if you have a chance, if you want to just throw up the slide of where you can find us, how and where to find us, just take a quick little note. You can go to thebazone.com. That is our website. And we are also on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, and YouTube. And a lot of our older shows, too, that a lot of folks watch on replay, you'll find out on YouTube and on our website, thebazone.com. So, okay, Kathleen, are you ready to continue with tool tips from Kathleen, the actual teaching of the thing? Are you talking without sound? Hello.
There we go. Oh, you want the mic
there
on
you go.
too?
Okay.
Jeez, you people want everything. So, yes, first of all, make sure you have the mic on. Yes, we'll get to that one in a second. Okay, so there are different levels, there's different types of training, which we've covered. I'm just going to hit on a couple of example tools that you could use for the different approaches. We're going to start off with the times when either you are the one creating and or doing the training, or in a lot of cases, maybe you are providing materials to whoever is going to be doing the training. And this one comes up a lot for us, but that is because it is the ultimate multi-purpose tool. And that would be our favorite thing, Snagit. We really do love Snagit around here. This is a screen capture tool at its basic level, but it brings so much more to the plate, and it's very reasonably priced, which is a nice bonus. So you can take screen captures, you can take scrolling screen capture. So like a lot of screen capture programs, you're limited to just this area that you can see on the screen, but with Snagit, you can actually set it up so that it will take a whole long scrolling screen if you need that. You can also do some basic editing in it. You can de-identify information using it. It has a real basic but very handy editor in it. So if you need to, like, you know, adjust something, maybe they change the label on a field on you, and you don't have time to go and do the go and recapture everything and make all the adjustments to it that you've already done. So you just go in and you can change it yourself, which is very handy. So this is the one that we use for so many things. A very flexible tool, good to have in your back pocket for so many things, but particularly for this kind of thing. You can create resources that can be exported in all different formats for whatever tool or method they are going to be using. And if you'll notice here, I didn't even realize this until I was verifying the links before the show. They're still doing their Cyber Monday Black Friday sale, but it ends tonight. So if you're interested in it and you're watching it on 11/27, you can still get 25% off, which is a really nice bonus because it's a very reasonably priced tool anyway. So that's sort of a nice bonus for you. And it does come with a free trial. So if you want to give it a test drive, see if it does work for you. It works on Mac and PC. There's actually a free tool that you can use in conjunction with it that will actually take screen captures off of mobile devices. So really a super powerful tool. I'm just going to go look real quick now. And it sells, regular price is $50. So I can promise you that this is the cheapest other than the free stuff I'm going to mention in a minute. But super awesome. And like I said, until midnight tonight, I don't know, that's Pacific time. So there's lots more hours there. You can get it for $38. Not a bad deal. Okay. Next up, if you are creating some sort of document, whether it's going to end up being a physical printed document, maybe a PDF, whatever. Of course, Word is going to be your de facto standard because, whoops, hello, Mare. Wrong one. See, I'm so used to it just being her these days.
At least I'm paying attention.
Yes, you are. Actually, you could pop it. Well, no. All right. You could pop into Facebook and say hi to people. The de facto standard is Word. The only thing I would implore you is to go and don't use the same template you use for everything else, every other document that you're creating. Particularly, don't use your business requirements document for training. Try to give it something slightly different so that at least on site people will recognize it. Also, you want to structure the information a little bit different from how you're going to do your requirements documents. But you're going to say, but Cap, I don't know how to do that. No problem. We've got you covered. There are all kinds of free and cheap templates out there that you can find. And I'll put these links into the show description later. So if you're an Office user, Microsoft provides all kinds of templates for all of your Microsoft tools, including Word. So you can go out there, you can find something, and just because it doesn't have a title of training document on it, doesn't mean that you can't use it. If you find a template with a pattern that you like and it feels like it's going to match well for your content and your audience, by all means, go ahead and use it. So you can go check that out. Like I said, if you just go to Google or Bing and search for Word template training doc or something like that, you'll get thousands and thousands of matches. So go ahead and you can use that. Maybe your company has moved on from Office. Yay. So you can also do the same kind of thing in Google Docs, and guess what? There are Google Doc templates also. So you've got that working for you. The other benefit to using something like Google Docs is the fact that because it's online and you can provide a read-only link to it, it makes it that much easier to make sure that your audience is always looking at the most recent content. So you don't have to worry that somebody is reaching into a drawer and pulling out a training manual that you gave them 3 years ago if they're working off of a link that you'd given them and you've been updating it. So that's sort of a nice little perk there, and you can't beat the price. It's free. All right. If you are looking for something a little fancier, you can take a look at something like Affinity Publisher. This is also a Mac and a PC tool. Right now it is free. It's in beta. When it's released, it'll be $50 because all their tools are $50. But this is sort of the closest tool to this that you might be familiar with would be Adobe InDesign, which, by the way, you can also use. All the Adobe tools are there for your use if you have access to them. But this is another one where you can do, complex layouts, but you can also, create live links to stuff. So if a screen capture changes, the live link will automatically pick the changed version when you put it there, and then you can publish a new version. You've got all kinds of layout and fonts controls and, page layout controls. So it's a nice, powerful tool, very clear and simple to use. I've been using it for a while now. Don't be afraid of the beta in this case because it's really close to release. It's super stable now. All right, did I catch all these? Yes. Yes. Okay. So another thing to consider that a lot of people don't think about when they're thinking about coming up with training materials, and again, another good way to make sure that they're always up to date is to use something like Squarespace. Yes, Squarespace is for websites, but you can build a website document for your training materials. And again, it's easy to make sure that it is always up to date, and you don't have to be thrown off. Maybe you're not a web coder. That's okay. They provide all kinds of beautiful functional templates, and you can pick whichever one feels like it's a good match for you. You don't have to use everything that's in the template package. You can just pick and choose. All the templates come free with the service. And the other nice thing about it is you can go in, set everything up, practice, get sign off on it and everything for free before you actually release it. You don't have to pay for it until you release it. I think they give you, I want to say 60 or 90 days, I don't remember, it keeps changing, of free time. So you can go in, you can build what you need to and go ahead and use it. And it's not difficult to use. And unfortunately, for some reason, it logged me out. So give me a second and I will just open another one. Maybe it'll do it for us. Let me change this back. I don't remember whether, I don't think it shows all my login information, but let's be sure. I'll just show you, I'm not going to show you the whole process of editing. I just want to show you the type of controls that it gives you. Because a lot of people get very hung up about editing in this tool. And once I show them how to do it, they're like, oh, that's easy. And that's the point. All right, so come here. And let's see, we'll take you to our watch page. So in case you don't know, if you're watching us on Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, that's all good. And we're happy to have you there. But if you can't remember or can't find us there easily, we actually have a watch page where we always put the most current version of the show. So even the live show. So the live show is actually here. I'm not going to run it because it'll slow everything down, but you would just click this and be able to watch. But what I want to show you is, in order to edit, all you have to do is hover. You get this nice little bar here. You click on edit. It loads. This takes a second because it's got a lot of videos on it. And so you see how, like, as I hover over things, you get this black line. That black line is where you can insert text, images, what have you. And when you click on it, these are the content blocks it gives you to work with. So you don't have to do any HTML coding. You literally can come in and go, okay, yeah, let's see, I need this to be, I want to put a quote in here, and you can click on this and it would add it for you. Actually, we'll just do this. It gives you a little box here. I'm going to move this so you can see it. And you would put it in here, and then you would hit apply, and it would show right on the page for you. So you can see what it's going to look like while you're doing it. So don't be afraid. It's not scary at all. Ask Mary, she'll tell you, right?
If I can do it, anyone can do it.
It is a friendly tool, right? I mean, once you get comfortable with it, and again, it has the benefit of being online. You can provide a link to people. Obviously, they would only have read-only options. You can put a print button in there if they do want to download a PDF, because some people maybe want to read it on the train and the way to work or whatever. But they'll always have that link, and that way they'll always have the most updated copy as long as you're keeping it up to date, which does fall on you or whoever you hire to do this. All right, next up. Okay, so that's all if you're going to provide something printed. And the thing is, you have to keep in mind, you don't have to do one or the other. You can combine these in whatever combination works best for your training, for your audience, what have you. The next thing to talk about is there are different platforms out there. So far we've been talking about if you're trying to do it, for a fairly free or reasonable price, and materials that you're going to have easily accessible for you. But if you're working for a big company, they might, let me get this, you need the whole page for this. They might be willing to cough up the money for a platform because maybe they are looking to implement this kind of solution for HR and other departments too. So if you go around and you look, there's all kinds of platforms out there. They give you all kinds of tools. They give you a massive authentication options, so you can set different roles for people, and depending on their role, when they log in, they can do different things. So this is another way to go. I will tell you, this one has gotten pretty popular. It's been getting some really good press lately, Inkling. But for me, the fact that this is targeted at enterprise is clear to me because they don't even show their pricing. So anytime there's a request a demo instead of the pricing option, you know, it's going to be a little pricey. But if your company is interested in a enterprise-wide solution that you can also tap into, this would be something else that you could bring up and see if you can get them to sign off on. Okay. So let's say that instead of, or in addition to printed materials, online, you know, reading kind of content, you're looking to do video. Now, a lot of people freak out, but you know what? We did too a year ago before we started doing this. It's okay. You can do this. We do this. It's okay. So the big thing here is whether you're doing live training over like something like this, or if you're recording your training to post on a website or somewhere out on your corporate network to be shared, the first big thing is to make sure that you have really good sound, because people are forgiving of less than stellar video as long as your audio is good. So you're going to want something like this. Doesn't have to be this. This happens to be, this is the Blue Nano. This is a new mic that they've come out with. It's a little bit smaller. I could show you, I actually use the Yeti, which is a much bigger, but this has almost all the same functionality, but it's small, it's portable, and it gives amazing sound. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you know, I'll use my, you know, headset or, you know, I'm going to get one of those lavaliers, you know, which is the kind you see like newscasters wear. You know, we've got the earpiece and then it connects to like a battery pack or something. The problem with both of those other options is a lot of times they'll rub against your hair or material, okay, as you're moving and gesturing and all that. And that sound comes through and it is a little hard to listen to, especially if the people that you're talking to are listening on headset. That can be a really grating sound. So if you can, it's better to go with something like this that you can sit in front of you. And this one in particular is designed to sit in front of you. Or the Yeti, which you can put on a boom arm, which I'll show you in a minute, so that it's not picking up the sounds of you typing on the desk or you adjusting your hair or adjusting your shirt every time you move. Alrighty. So then the other part is, so here, I'll show you the boom arm. So the Yeti, I'm sorry, the Yeti you can get for like $99 now. So when I say boom arm, this is what I'm talking about. So you've got this part here, okay, and you can put either the microphone or you can put a webcam, which we'll get into in a minute, on here. And it's adjustable, right? So you can put it however you need it to go. And then there's a piece here. You put, I don't want to do this because I'm actually going to use this someplace else. And I'll make sure I put it together right. But you put this piece in here, this little hole, and you pop this in here, and then you've got this, and this is what attaches to your desk or your table or whatever. And you'll see it's got a lot of space, so it can go up to like maybe 2¼ inches, and you can adjust this, you know, to tighten it. If this is in your way and you've got a fairly thick table, they also include this. So this would be like if you've got like a 2-inch table, you know, and you didn't want this piece hanging down, you can unscrew this and replace it with this. Cameras. Another thing that can, you know, if your company has the money and is willing to do it, you can buy very, very expensive cameras. Or if you're running more on, you know, bootstrapped like us, perfectly acceptable and functional camera is something like this. I'm going to put that up there. So this is the C922X Logitech. There's 3 levels. So there's the 920, 922, and then there's the Brio. The prices range from like $70 to, I think the Brio is like $100, $125. This is sort of the in-between one. This one I actually got a really good deal on Black Friday for. But you can do, I mean, that's what I'm using here. You know, I think Mary's also using a Logitech. So, you know, they're crisp. You can, you know, adjust colors and all that kind of stuff, and get really good quality out of it. Okay, so did I run through everything that quickly? That's so cool. Yay. So the point being that with a little bit of money, almost no money, or piles of money, whatever your budget ends up being, there's lots of tools out there. And by combining different things, you can provide even richer training because, again, as Mary mentioned earlier, everybody learns a little bit differently. So some people prefer this kind of, you know, talking training with video so they can stop and go back. But, you know, if not, then you can also go and write manuals and all that kind of stuff for the people who learn better that way. So that is the quick high-level overview. This could actually be like, you know, weeks and weeks of content on its own, but we just wanted to touch on some of the the tools that are available out there that are not hard to learn, not super expensive, and not scary, that can help you create really amazing training that will have people thanking you for having them take the course. It happens.
Absolutely. It happens. You do get thanks once in a while. We'd like to thank you guys for showing up tonight. If you have any questions that you can think of later, you can go to our website and drop us a line. And while you're there, you can sign up for our mailing list. We don't do anything with the information. It's just a way for us to keep you informed on what we're working on. Also, you can check out our classes that we are currently offering. One is the Business Analyst Job Search, hints and tips, a little more hints and tips for success, or Beating the Experience Needed Vicious Cycle, AKA get experience before you actually have experience. And you can do that. And if there is something that you want to learn more about, please leave us a message or a comment. Most of our best shows come from your suggestions, so we're here to help you. So just to wrap up this class, what you want to do is you want to create training content that relates directly to your learning objectives. You want to integrate as much hands-on training and practice as possible. Most people learn by doing. You want to use multiple techniques and visuals, some of the things Kathleen went over, to make that training interesting and engaging and memorable. And you want to allow users to provide feedback during the training. And, a lot of that feedback is really great because we've created Q&A sessions, or FAQs, frequently asked questions. They work really well when you have multiple training sessions with multiple groups. You want to select delivery methods and tools that fit within your budget and enhance the actual training experience. And also don't forget to evaluate the training with the users. Let them give you some feedback, maybe do a survey of how it went, with sometime a survey tool like SurveyMonkey or something like that, and get their feedback. Of course, time will tell whether the training was effective or not. So you want to take a look at, the post-training behavior and other metrics, such as do you have a reduction in incidents or customer complaints, or have you increased the performance in some way, reduced the cost, etc. And one final note, training changes over time. Links and manuals stop working, documents become out of date. So really take a look at your training materials, at least quarterly, to ensure that everything is up to date and working. So Kathleen, I don't know if you have any other comments before we head out.
No, we're good.
Okay. Well, everybody, that's our show for tonight. We really thank you for stopping by. We know your time is valuable, and we hope you enjoyed it. I'll be on R&R next week, so please join Kathleen next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And remember, reach out and lend someone else a helping hand. It's a simple thing that can make a huge difference. So until we meet again, have a great night, everybody, and take care.